you as well.
Well,
how about tyranny?
Yeah, tyranny. Well, you know, when you have all of the cards, or you think you have all of the cards, you can do that. You can do a frontal assault. The Soviets used to try it, and or used to practice it in great length all of the time. I can remember as a young lieutenant in Germany, where the Soviets would put their entire army on the line and in a huge mass and move right up to the border and expect us to react, and then at the last minute they would do a right flank or a left flank and go away. Well, these people are doing exactly the same thing, except they're not going away.
By the way, Alex, name of the company whose vaccine killed the vagrants in Poland was Novartis.
Ah, we've discovered that. Okay, tell us about that. We'll get into part 2, the vaccines, and how we fight it. Straight ahead. The enemy is moving on every front. They're announcing registration of guns. They're announcing the feds are going to tax your car with GPS by the mile on top of gas taxes. They're announcing a new private bank of the world is setting up, quote, global governance, and you will pay your carbon taxes to private interest. They're just moving on every front. Major General Stubblebine is our guest. His wife, Dr. Rima Laibow, medical doctor. We're going to be talking about what's happening with the flu shots, what they believe from their research is behind it. And we're also going to get into these deaths from different flu vaccine trials in Europe, also deaths now in the U.S., and a lot of illnesses that are confirmed. The FDA admits, oh, that's normal that some people will die or have convulsions. We're going to be discussing all that and what the overall master plan is and how to fight back against it, and your calls next hour. Before I go any further, going back to our guests, I just want to mention their websites are healthfreedomusa.org, healthfreedomusa.org. Incredible information on that site. They also take action against Codex Alimentarius. They take action against the vaccines. They have solutions to fight back, and they've been instrumental in stopping a lot of enemy operations. And this is an enemy, an adversary. The globalists admit that they're using fake environmentalism and the global system to enslave the world population. Going back to Dr. Rima Laibow and Major General Stubblebine, Doctor, you were mentioning that you had the answer of the company. I have over 100 articles, but only 20 or so, maybe more, in British news, and Bloomberg reported on it here, but that was it in the U.S. that I know of, where they arrested the Polish doctors and nurses. They've charged them with taking money from an unnamed pharmacological company to tell the homeless people that it was a regular flu shot, and then it killed them. And it turned out this happened in other countries, but only Poland prosecuted. How can the doctors be prosecuted for giving the shot and being paid to do it and lying? But how is the company, and I haven't seen that in the news, how do you know it's Novartis? I mean, I'm not doubting you, but enlighten us.
Well, we know very well that information disappears after it's put out and people begin accessing it. In the very early days of this story, quite some number of months ago, and by the way, 11 people died immediately, and then when the rest of the people who became very ill suddenly were taken to the hospital, at least 21 of them died. And this was in a very small population of people, about 300 people. So we're talking about a humongous death rate. No,
you're right. It says at one center, 350 were given it, 21 died at the hospital, and 11 others before that. So that's right. 32.
So, that's right. That's a huge death rate, and we don't know how many other people died longer term. Well, in the very early days of this story, it was made clear that it was the Novartis vaccine, the very same Novartis vaccine, by the way, that the United States was stockpiling. And so once that information began to be circulated widely, the name of the company disappeared.
All right, let me ask you this then. If Bayer Pharmaceutical, with over 1 million ampules of factor VIII, convicted in court, France indicted the officials, nobody else did in Australia, the U.S., and other countries, It came out in court. MSNBC's even reported, as you know, but for the audience, that they knowingly put AIDS, HIV, and hepatitis in it. They didn't just let it go out over a decade. If you or I got caught giving 1 million people HIV or hepatitis, we'd go to the electric chair or lethal injection. When they do it, they get government contracts and are called our saviors. Doctor, I want your comment on how they get away with this, and then I want General Stubblebine's breakdown on the overall master plan, what we're facing here.
My comment is that the way they do it is by the deepest, most extraordinarily enormous level of corruption. We like to think of other countries around the world as corrupt. We like to point our fingers at countries like Thailand and Indonesia and African countries and say, look how corrupt they are, not realizing that the most profound corruption is around the pharmaceutical and food industries, which are being used in these incredibly inhuman ways, coldly and calculatingly, to make us ill and to kill us. We know, by the way, tomorrow, Thursday, the Natural Solutions Foundation Stop the Shot lawsuit will be heard in Washington, D.C. We are suing the FDA to prevent them from releasing any more of their untested, unsafe, uninsurable, unnecessary H1N1 vaccines. And what we have is a worldwide amassment of data about how dangerous these vaccines are from the people who are dropping dead, the people in Germany who are collapsing and dying from the pandemics shots, and pandemics is one of the vaccines that the FDA has illegally approved. I thought I would take a moment, Alex, to read you what GlaxoSmithKline admits to the side effects being and the numbers of the side effects that they anticipate in their squalene adjuvanted H1N1 vaccine, which was just approved illegally by the United States.
Absolutely. I want to do that. And I also want to point out that the mainstream media in public schools, in colleges, and in government facilities is handing out a federally written fact sheet that says there is no mercury. Paul Watson's written an article about this, linking to it at prisonplanet.com. There is no mercury. It cannot cause neurological disorders. It cannot cause Guillain-Barré. It cannot cause autoimmune disorders. It cannot cause infertility. When the inserts admit this, because I want to go over the inserts with both of you and then get into their master operation, why they're doing this, why they believe this, and then how to stop them. But how do they just lie and say there's no mercury when it's on all the inserts? I mean, it's like they're trying to discredit themselves, or do they have just complete disdain for the public? I guess if they're going to try to ban people getting even medium levels of vitamin C and vitamin D, I guess, you know, they say vitamins are bad, but mercury is good. I mean, it's like I've woken up in Alice in Wonderland.
Exactly. Alex, there was a story in all the media a couple of days ago saying that women who got mercury in their vaccines while they were pregnant had healthier babies, had larger babies. And I thought, my God, Alice in Wonderland has nothing on this. This is callous, surely wickedly laughing liars. I mean, I can't think of anything else, because these people know, they know perfectly well that mercury is extraordinarily dangerous for the fetus and crosses the placenta.
Doctor, they're now, I can go to Whole Foods or I can go to other vitamin shops in Austin, and many of the products have mercury in them now. I mean, we're now entering a vortex of insanity. I want to ask you.
Good way to put it. Let me read to you what GlaxoSmithKline says on its package insert about the Arapanrix, which is the same as the Pandemrix, which has now been banned in Switzerland, by the way, for children pregnant women, and the chronically ill, the very same people that it is approved for without any testing, of course, in the United States.
Let me stop you again. That is key. They are targeting and pushing the vaccine on the very people that their own inserts admit shouldn't take it. Now, I mean, that is crime. Go ahead.
And understand that the high levels of squalene, even the vaccines that do not have squalene, will be administered, unless our suit succeeds tomorrow, will be administered with admixed squalene. They're going to drop squalene that they bought $500 million worth of, and of course it's an unapproved, very, very...
Wait a minute. That's the bait and switch. So you're saying they draw up the vaccine and then go to a bottle of squalene with it?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
and by
my.
the way, that happens to violate the FDA's own good manufacturing practices. That in itself, just that little trick that we're talking about right now, is illegal in the United States.
Unbelievable.